Mr. Crocket loves the kids, so watch how you treat them, okay? Let's talk about Mr. Crocket, a horror movie that is now available on Hulu. So in Mr. Crocket, a single mother has a hard time connecting with, reaching her child after she loses her husband. So she finds this VHS tape and puts it on and sees that this calms the kid down. She'll get some peace whenever he's watching this thing. But this show called Mr. Crockett's World has a hold on him and on any child that watches it. And she soon realizes that something dark is happening, something horrific. You're watching Mr. Crocket, Mr. Crocket is watching you. And chaos and murder ensues. So, this idea I think is very, very creative. The execution, I, leaves some to be desired. This movie is gruesome. They have that on lock. The kills are very creative. The Mr. Crocket character, played by Elvis Nolasco, best part of the movie. Mr. Crocket is the most developed character. Mr. Crocket is the most interesting character. Mr. Crocket has an engaging backstory. He has the best line in the movie. This movie actually gives me a bit of Blink Twice in that it comes off as if the villain is who the writers and producers were most interested in, and everybody else fell by the wayside. It feels like every other character in this movie simply exists to give Mr. Crocket a reason to wild out. I think this movie is worth watching for Mr. Crocket alone. And at the same time, Mr. Crocket deserves a much better, much tighter, more developed movie to play in. Let's discuss spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First, let's talk about the good. Like I said, Mr. Crocket, the actor kills it. He is so strong and so charismatic. I also think Mr. Crockett's backstory is very good. I love the detail of, in his world, his father is the son. That trauma is still like the guiding light, if we can call it that, of his life, of his afterlife, of his motivation. I love that, like, the trauma, the abuse he was put through as a child is driving him in death. So much so that he made a deal with the devil to be able to send parents to hell. No matter, well, he only kills the most egregious of parents, like the actual abusers. Other bystanders or like people who just like have a one-off moment and just makes their kids sad, like Summer, our main character, and Rhonda, he lives alone. He leaves alone. Like I said, the movie does gruesome very well. The causes of death were great. So force feeding a man via his stomach, making a man shoot himself in the mouth, but a bubble comes out instead, and then that strong ass bubble like grows so much that it splits his head in half, tearing up both of a man's arms off, and then hanging it like silverware on the wall. And then I think he also split that man's head in half. Those aspects are great. And like I said, Mr. Crocket has the best line of the movie. I was forged in the fires of hell and abuse. That line goes hard. I also do love the end, where we find out that Mr. Crocket still has a hold on Major. He's still alive and can return for a sequel. If they do a sequel, I really, really hope the story is stronger. So let's get into the weak points of this movie. This movie chooses to take a children's medium, which is like the public education, little kid show that teaches you about like sharing and caring and washing your hands and your feelings and stuff like that, like very Mr. Rogers-esque, Barney-esque. It chooses that medium and turns it horrific. And yet, the children in this movie are just pawns. This movie does not care about the children. And by that, I mean, like, not that it needed to, like, teach us the lessons, but I expected more, and I think the movie would have been stronger if it actually cared about the children. So, first of all, Major, right? He's just there to be Summer's child, and it's just, like, a plot device, but, like, Major is not a sympathetic character, like, and you can say that, like, oh, he was acting out because of the grief he felt at losing his father, but the movie doesn't care about that. The movie doesn't treat his grief. We get that one scene where the mom is like, he's having the nightmare and he's calling out to his dad. He doesn't understand death, but the movie doesn't explore that. The movie does not take care of the children. So he gets kidnapped, goes through this whole ordeal, and then comes out the other side and everything's cool with his mom. His grief is not a plot point for him. And then the other children, this movie introduces like abuse of children, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, and all we get at the end is that Summer, like the state or Summer, is trying to place the children, trying to find homes for them. And that's a weak point for me. Like, if you're gonna do this and choose like, children's television, and you have the children and you have an abuse, like you choose to do an abuse storyline, treat the kids. Like, what do you have to say about that? Turns out nothing. It's really all about the adults, but not even in an interesting way. Summer is not an interesting main character. Rhonda is an interesting character. I don't understand why she was not the main character. I think she should have been, but instead she was a plot device. She really was only there to find Mr. Crocket, and then as soon as they found him, they took her out. Literally took her out of the rest of the scenes, and then reveal at the end that she's still alive. You didn't want to do more with her airwaves powers. Like, I think more could have been done with Rhonda. More could have been done with Anthony. Oh my God, like someone who Mr. Crocket like kidnapped, but who doesn't see it that way. Probably because Mr. Crocket like taking him and playing with him and then sacrificing his life for him imprinted on him and altered his brain chemistry, because it is the most compassionate and selfless thing any adult has ever done for him. That's what I'm saying, because the movie doesn't tell us anything. They revealed to us that what fake name did he give? And he was suspicious from jump, because I'm like, so you just happened to be there? And then I was really suspicious when they got in his car and the children's music started playing. I was like, And then they reveal that he's Anthony. Cool. Anything about that? Do you want to tell us anything? Why is Mr. Crocket incapable of conceptualizing that children grow up? Is he's not portrayed as being like stuck mentally as a child. So why doesn't he understand the concept of like adulthood and like going from child to adult? They kill Anthony as soon as he's revealed. No curiosity. Like, the movie itself is not curious about him. It's not curious about his mindset as a child, like a child survival of abuse. The only like story of abuse that we have is that like the child who was abused becomes a killer, Mr. Crocket. There's also something very like bam, bam, bam. We're hitting the marks. We're hitting the marks about this movie. We don't linger on anything. At the end, when Summer reunites Rhonda with her son, she says this line of like, hey, we're just parents doing the best we can, and we're doing it alone. That fell flat, because neither one of you, like both of you just got here as far as being a single parent. Summer, your husband just died. You don't even know what it's like to be a single parent. Rhonda's story is much more complex than being a single parent. She lost her kid the same night that she became a single parent. So what is this line about? She gained powers, somewhere along the way. And this is how we sum up her journey, is that like she's just doing the best she can, and she's doing it without a partner. The worst line of the movie goes to Summer when she said, Shuri Bottom born and raised, bitch. Ma'am, you did not do nearly enough for that line to succeed. That was cringy. You were really gonna stand there and just let your son stab you. Even worse, when Mr. Crocket brought up the fact that she told Major, I quit being your mother or something like that. And Mr. Crocket was like, what about that? What about remember when she said that? And she just stays there silent and doesn't say like, I was having a bad moment, I was just frustrated. She just stands there so that the movie can continue. So those are my thoughts on Mr. Crocket. Now, as far as the rating, I don't want to give this movie a 2 or even a 2.5, because I really feel the Mr. Crocket character is that strong and is played that well by the actor. And so on the strengths of the Mr. Crocket portrayal alone, I'm rating this movie a 3 out of 5. But the rest of it outside of Mr. Crocket is weak and leaves a lot to be desired. Let me know what you think.